The Mutant Creeper was the most destructive mob to ever exist in Minecraft. Not only was it bigger than your average creeper, but it was immensely more deadly. Every place it roamed became decimated under its extreme explosive power. Its purpose is largely left unknown to modern knowledge. Only the devastating effects of its existence remain as proof. But many ask, how did this mob come to be? Better yet, is it still out there? This is the story of Minecraft's Mutant Creeper. The Mutant Creeper, unlike regular creepers, was much more spider-like in its appearance. Any mob that came across it knew to turn the other direction out of fear. While a regular creeper dies with its explosion, the Mutant Creeper had the privilege to use it anytime it wanted, causing no harm to itself. On top of that, this beast controlled the powers of TNT, able to project explosions on its foes. While this beast was quite large in size, the Mutant Creeper moved with silence. You wouldn't know that you were its prey until it was too late. But how did this dangerous beast come to exist in Minecraft? Well, what if I told you his presence in this world wasn't naturally formed, but actually a scientific creation? In its time, pillagers as a whole were way more powerful than they are today. Back then, the world was so harsh that it had hardened a number of the villagers, who then turned to join the pillager forces. With their larger numbers, they would raid more than just villages. Any structure they came across would get raided and destroyed. Players who left their bases unguarded as they adventured for better gear and items would return to the gloom of having all they built torn down and stolen. Knowing these pillagers were like rats made any retaliation attempts fruitless. If you destroyed an outpost, you would come back a few days later just to see it rebuilt with more pillagers than before. One smart player knew it would take more than brawn to solve this situation. This player was crossing the plains during a storm one evening when he saw lightning strike a creeper. He took notice as the creeper became supercharged and immediately grew an idea. The player baited the creeper all the way back to his base, where he knew his friend would be. He yelled out for his friend to meet him. His friend came outside, wondering why he had been called out in the middle of a dangerous storm. Just as the words left his mouth, he turned in horror, as the last thing he saw was the light blue glow of the supercharged creeper.
If I can harness this power for myself, it won't be just those pesky pillagers that fear me.
He began collecting creepers, as many as he could, trapping them in special cells at his base. Above each cell would be bare sky, in the hopes that lightning would strike down on each of them. Weeks turned into months. Many storms passed, but no lightning struck his creepers. In his frustration, he knew he needed to adapt his plan. If only he could harness the power of this lightning. Although this scientist was mad, he was very smart and began crafting Minecraft's very first lightning rod. He then placed them around one of the cages. He had only trapped one creeper inside when a storm formed out of nowhere and lightning began blasting the area.
Yes, I've done it!
But the lightning continued to strike again and again and again. There was a huge flash of light, and in front of the player was now a grossly mutated creeper. The creeper stared at him, and in the blink of an eye, it attacked with an ability never seen before. The mutated creeper, living through the explosion, escaped, roaming free in the world. As time went on, the mutated creeper only got stronger. It went around, spawning other creepers, exponentially growing their population. Because of their increased numbers, the lands of the world began to change. Different biomes wore remnants of creeper explosions like battle scars that only time could heal. Word quickly spread. There was a giant mutated creeper that was roaming this world, causing mayhem. Because of this, knights emerged from the midst. Knights used to be a fierce mob that roamed the overworld. Each knight wanted the glory that would come from stopping this terror. And so, night after night hunted the mutant creeper. But every single one disappeared, never returning from their expeditions. Knights began going on hunts together, learning from each attack. While the mutant creeper still won these battles, it knew its time was coming soon if it didn't do something, and fast. After searching the land, the mutant beast finally found the Knight's kingdom. It stormed through the walls, breaking everything with ease. Knights were alerted and began fighting back, but because of the surprise attack, they were not prepared at all. And by the end of the night, the kingdom was demolished. The Knights, once known as the strongest defenders in Minecraft, were no more. The Creeper walked off, weakened but victorious. As time went on, the mutant creeper adapted to consuming emeralds to restore its strength. It would rampage through villages, taking all of the village emeralds and destroying all of the homes in its search. The mutant creeper transformed the emeralds into an advanced form of gunpowder, using it to amplify its explosions. It was now stronger and more powerful than before. The more emeralds this beast got, the stronger and larger it became. Along with this, grew its hunger for more. Villages all over increased their defenses, creating more iron golems and raising more cats. No matter the effort of the villagers, nothing stopped the mutant creeper. With its size, the beast didn't fear the small four-legged creatures that deterred regular creepers. Villagers everywhere would run. Some would leave their villages, left without a home. Others would hide in their houses, to be inevitably found and defeated. One villager that escaped sure death came back to find his home destroyed and in ruins. He knew he would have to make a change to save his people, and he was going to be the one to do it. He sent messages to villages all across the land.
A change must happen!
All of them agreed. The cats that each village had fostered had kept them safe from the smaller creepers, but it had been proven through time that this mutant creeper was not affected by the small creatures. An idea sparked within the villager. He knew how they were going to combat this mutant creeper. They would have to make their very own mutant cat. While the villagers went to work, the mutant creeper was still very much at large. Because of the enormous number of emeralds the beast ate, his explosive abilities grew, and he now shot green TNT, creating even larger explosions. The craters that were formed in the world only got larger and larger with every place he went. Village after village disappeared, urging the villagers to find a solution in order to save their kind. The villagers didn't know the first place to start in creating a mutant cat, though. With how much damage was done to their people, most wandering traders stayed in hiding, afraid of being ambushed by the mutant and his minions while on the road. Some would arrive at the village, being the first to witness the devastation left behind by the mutant creeper. As traders stopped moving from town to town, villagers began to slow their trades due to a deficit in supply. A solution was needed now, or villagers would never recover. The villager who had come up with the mutant cat idea knew that the best way to create a mutant cat would be to better understand the mutant creeper. But how? He decided to risk his life and traveled to the old Night Kingdom to see if he could learn anything that would bring light to their situation. The villager arrived to a kingdom in ruin. What a shame that the knights were destroyed by this evil. He had to do everything he could to make sure that villagers did not share the same fate. Going through building after building, the villager finally stumbled into what looked like an old lab. Searching around, the villager found a journal marked MC. After opening the journal, he discovered that one of the knights was studying the mutant creeper prior to the attack on their kingdom, and had found the source of its power. The research showed that the mutant creeper was created by repeated strikes of lightning. This knight had actually ventured to the birthplace of the beast and discovered the lightning rods that were used in its creation. The villager grabbed the journal and lightning rods before running back to his village. After much preparation, the stage was set for them to create a mutant cat. When the first storm rolled in, the cat was struck, just as the mutant creeper had been before. Out of the chaos was born a mutant cat, but not at the same size as the mutant creeper. The villager knew that the creeper grew with emeralds, so maybe the cat could grow too. But the cat had no interest. Was this all for nothing? Suddenly, the cat rushed over to the water and ate a fish, immediately growing. They had done it! Now, they just needed to get a ton of fish, and this cat could challenge the mutant creeper. All the villagers available went out and started to collect fish. With each fish it ate, the cat grew in size and strength. eating day and night until it was consuming 300 fish a day. With its newfound strength and size, the villagers made sure it trained against their iron golems, helping it learn attacking abilities and endurance. The villagers looked at one another and knew that this cat had to be more than ready to fight off the creeper. They all formed together, combining their emeralds into blocks and placing them in a giant pile, hoping that it would lure the beast. It was time. The mutant creeper had never heard a sound like that. Intrigued by this new threat, he signaled the rest of his creeper army and set off to march for the battle that was there to face them. The mutant creeper and his army approached, but as it got closer to the large pile of bait, it quickly realized that something wasn't right. It heard a sound of a loud roar and turned to see the biggest cat in the world. A chilling sensation was sent down his spine, and for the first time, the creeper felt fear. But it wasn't going to back down with so many emeralds at stake. The cat suddenly signaled an army of its own. Lining up on either side of it was an abundance of cats. The mutant cat and creeper started to charge at one another, initiating a battle never before seen. Most of the creepers either ran away scared from the cats or died trying to fight back against them. The mutant creeper looked around and knew if it didn't do something, its time would shortly be over. The creeper began to panic, and for the first time ever, it decided to retreat and ran away into a forest. The cat noticed and knew it could not let it leave. It had to be destroyed. The mutant creeper made it into a clearing and thought it was safe. But quickly after, it started to hear rustling in the surrounding bushes from every single direction. Out of nowhere, the mutant cat jumped out at him. They began to fight again, one last time. But the beast was already far too weak from before. The creeper knew its time was about to end and started to feel the sensation to blow up. But this time, it felt different. The giant cat hit him one last time, causing the world's largest explosion ever seen. Everything was destroyed and ruined. It took centuries before Minecraft's lively nature was able to grow back into its terrain. Villages were able to rebuild back to the way they once were, and thankfully, the world eventually felt fully restored. But who knows what other beasts lie in the world?